All right, so I'm just, everybody who was in the waiting room should now be in the meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the virtual Q&A info session for the 2020 Congressional App Challenge. My name is Jasmine Venegas. I am a district representative for Congresswoman Veronica Escobar for her office here in El Paso, and I am also the App Challenge Coordinator. So I thank you so much for being here, for your time and your interest, and in learning more about what this competition is about. Maybe you already know what it's about and you have more technical questions, but maybe you're learning about it for the first time and you have more logistical or basic questions like, what is this? Why should I be interested? So we're here to answer those for you. And I'm being joined today by just an excellent panel of past judges. These were the judges or part of the judging panel for last year's Congressional App Challenge. So this year, I know things are virtual, things are a little different, but you know, we're still shooting for the stars, and we want to make sure that you're armed and informed with all of the knowledge that you can be to have a successful submission to the competition. And that's why they're here to answer maybe more technical questions that I will not be able to answer because I'm not a coding or STEM expert. So I'm here for the logistical side and they're here for the technical side. I'm going to introduce them and then just give them a quick second to say something about themselves. So I will start with Ian Hudson. Take it away, Ian.
Thanks, Jasmine. So my name is Ian Hudson. I work at a early stage startup here in El Paso named Parabeak. We've worked on a lot of mobile apps over the years. We've been spent a little bit of time doing mobile consulting, and recently we've been working on a Flutter or a design to Flutter conversion tool, and that's really technical. But I'm just happy to help however I can and answer any questions.
Thanks, Ian. Okay, next up, JJ Childress. Go ahead.
So JJ Childress, I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Microsoft's TechSpark initiative. And really, I sit within Microsoft Philanthropies and help support a lot of STEM and CS nonprofits here in the region and work with our policymakers like Congresswoman Escobar and other state and local stakeholders just to help create more opportunities for companies like Parabeak.
Which we very much appreciate.
Yeah, so we have some great community collaboration and partners, and thank you guys so much for just keeping STEM strong here. Okay, last but not least, Paula Terrazas.
Hello everyone, I'm Paula Terrazas. I am a judge from last year as well. I am probably the only student here. I am a senior at the University of Texas here at El Paso, and I am a computer science major and an incoming software engineer at Facebook. So I will be joining Facebook post-graduation.
So there you have it, some great resources for teachers, parents, students interested in the field. We have a great community of coders and programmers here, and tech startups, tech venture, all of that stuff that I'm not very well versed on. But we have a lot of great resources, and I'm glad that the office of the Congresswoman can help connect everybody. So I just want to let everybody know that we are recording this meeting. I want to share this with those students, parents, teachers that didn't get a chance to join us today. So if if you don't want to share your camera, that's totally fine. I want to also walk you through the question process. So I'm going to kick it off and just take you briefly through the registration and submission process, and then I will open it up to questions. So if any questions pop up while I'm speaking, while anybody else is speaking, just feel free to put it in the chat. I will be monitoring that, and I will call on people. We'll address questions as they come up, and I will also call on people during the Q&A through the chat. But we are in a Zoom meeting, so it is informal. We'll just play it by ear. If you want, just unmute yourself and just say, hey, I have a question, and we'll go ahead and address it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody. And firstly, I want to, so can everybody see this? Yes? Okay, great. So this is the official Congressional App Challenge website. And actually, so this is kind of where you go to register. This is where you go to learn more. This is where you go to see last year's submissions to get inspiration, or maybe you're wondering how exactly does a submission look? This is where you would go to get inspiration and to get your questions answered. Obviously, you can always come to me and I will guide you and help you navigate the website. But it is pretty straightforward. As you can see, the register here button is at the very top of the page. And so that's just, you know, it couldn't be clearer than that. I also, before we get too much into the website, however, I do want to show you the flyer. And hopefully everybody has already seen this flyer. Give me 1 second and I'll share it with you guys as well. Just be patient with me, please. Okay, great. So hopefully everybody's able to see this flyer. And I will also share it with you guys in the chat box. But this is the Congressional App Challenge for 2020. What is the Congressional App Challenge? So the Congressional App Challenge is a competition that was put together by members of Congress. It started in 2015. They came together and they said, a few members of Congress who had experience in the tech industry came together and said, we really need to start promoting STEM and STEM education and initiatives within our young people nationwide. And so they got it through and they put it together. And in 2015, every member of Congress in their own congressional district was able to host a competition for their constituency. And in Texas 16, which is the congressional district that we're in El Paso, our involvement with the competition started in 2017 under the former Congressman Beto O'Rourke. And so some of you may have heard about it since then, or maybe even participated or joined. The numbers did not look great in terms of submission, 2017 and 2018. We had fewer than 10 submissions from what I'm looking at. Then when Congresswoman Escobar was sworn in, obviously with the, you know, starting a new office and just her agenda and her mission of making sure that we have a strong workforce and that we are, you know, providing as many opportunities as possible to students and, you know, helping them stay in the community. We really put a lot of interest and capital behind this competition because we think it's so important. And so the last year was my first year being involved with this competition. And, you know, it was a great success. Like I said, we want to make it bigger and better. So now we're gearing up for the 2020. The deadline is October 19th. And you can submit any time before that deadline. You can register anytime before that deadline, and the winners will be announced in December. And the submissions will be judged by a local panel of community experts. And so that is what the Congressional App Challenge is. It's open to middle and high school students. You get to design your app. You get to create an app and you submit it. And what does the submission look like? It is a 1 to 3 minute submission video that you put into the website and then it gets judged, as I mentioned. So I just wanted to show you guys the flyer. It's a little wordy, but it does give you a good overview and explanation of what the requirements are for eligibility, what the requirements are for submission, and it just takes you through the process step by step. It really is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to share that with you guys in just a second. And I also just want to take you back to the website, which is where you would register. So as I said, you have to go to the Congressional App Challenge.us to register, and you go here. And you register for the Congressional App Challenge here. You do have to create a profile. So you would enter your email address and you create a password and you log in. And so I'm not going to go through the process, but that is how you would do it. And it does tell you what, so this is the portal. So you can just read here. If it is your first time there, you create an account. If you're competing as a team, one member can create an account and then invite additional teammates through the application portal. And you have an explanation of the full submission guidelines here at your disposal. You can enter individually or with a team of up to 4 people. And so the team leader, whoever the team designates that to be, would create this profile for the team and then type in their information. So you need your email address, the school you're going to, your parents' email address. They are going to ask you for that. That is pretty much it. They do not need your parents, your teacher's email address, although we do encourage that you let your teacher know if you are entering the competition because they're such an invaluable resource. And I feel like most of you will be looking to your teachers for some guidance and some mentorship anyway. So that is that. Last but not least, I do also want to show you guys the Congresswoman's website, which is another place where you can get some information. And let me share that now. Okay, so I hope everybody can see this. So this is escobar.house.gov. And again, I'm going to put all this in the chat for you guys. I know I'm kind of walking you through a lot of information, but we went over the flyer, right, which is a great one-stop shop for things. And then the actual website in which to create your portal and to submit your registration, start your registration. And then this is just the Congresswoman's website. If you go here under issues, you'll see that there is a section for, sorry, not issues, services, my mistake, for Congressional App Challenge at the very bottom. If you click on that, this is also just a great resource. You know, it just tells you the deadline in like clear, bold terms. It gives you the link where to apply. It has my information, my contact information, my email address, and it also has the support email address for the Congressional App Challenge folks. And you can also download the flyers that I talked about here in Spanish and in English. So those are the resources I have for everybody. And we do have a lot of people joining us. This is really exciting. And I just want to open it up to questions from our attendees. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to submit any or to just speak up. Well, it looks like we did have some pre-submitted questions, so I'll go through those. So somebody asked, are we required to participate in the same teams we had in the hackathon? And can we add a member if we still have the room? So this is a really great question. We did have a hackathon, a back to school hackathon that we hosted back at the end of August. And we had about 24 teams join that. And it was a rapid 2-day coding challenge. So similar to what the challenge is now, except it had a theme and the Congressional App Challenge does not have a theme. And if you participated in that hackathon, you are more than welcome to submit that same application or or register with the same team for this Congressional App Challenge, but you are not limited to that. So you don't have to submit with the same team. You are not bound by the hackathon. You can submit with a new team or add members or drop members as you and your team see fit. And you can submit the same app you started. You can submit a better version of the app that you started. Or you can just scrap that app altogether and submit something else you've been working on. So the team is completely up to you, and it does not rely on, or you don't have to submit with the same team that you participated in the hackathon with. Okay, so somebody just asked, we can actually make any app? Question mark. Yes, you can make any app. So the hackathon had a theme. For those of you who joined us during the hackathon, it had a theme. The Congressional App Challenge does not. You really are just free to submit anything. And maybe I can have one of the judges talk about what they look for in an app, if anybody wants to take that.
I could take that one. So you can make any app, but from a judging perspective, what I would really like to see is something that you're passionate about building. So you're just building something that kind of scratches your own itch. So it can, that could be a game. It could be, solving a local community problem. It could just be building just for fun. But if you're passionate about it, that really reflects, and we could tell. But I do take in consideration, is it solving, a problem bigger than yourself, or something that you're passionate about? Is it something valuable, for society? And I think a good place to start would actually be going to escobar.house.gov, look at the issues, and look to build a tool that maybe Congress can use. There's I think 535 members of Congress, 100 of senators, 435 of those are in the House. That means that each one of those people represent 600,000 people or so on average. And so how are they going to reach and make decisions that are best for all 600,000 people that on average or potentially represent more? And technology provides that way. So if you can build a tool that is, solving a local community problem or tying to, some of the bigger issues, it becomes a lot more interesting from the judging perspective.
Thank you so much. So yeah, somebody asked, when is the deadline for the app challenge? I just put it in the chat. The deadline is October 19th. So we do advise that you submit something that you've already started, unless you feel it's not impossible to start from scratch and just go to work today and have something ready, in a week or so. But if you've already started a project at school through your classroom, that might be a good way to go. So that's the deadline, October 19th, which is 2 Mondays from now. And I understand that I think some districts are closed next week. Columbus Day is Monday, and it's a federal holiday, so we all get it off. And you might not be, which is great and bad, right? It's good because then you're going to have more time to dedicate to creating and building your app. But you might also, I don't know if you will have limited access to your teachers, and your teachers are such great resources for helping guide you through this process or helping build it. But if you do need mentorship or guidance, we have a great community and so you can just always reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect you to somebody locally who I'm sure can help you out. So somebody in the chat says, Julian, you're asking, I guess game is out of the picture. Can you let us know what you mean by that, or maybe elaborate a little bit?
It might have been because I was saying building, something that solves a problem. But no, I would say I'll always go to that point, build something that you're passionate about. If you're passionate about gaming, build a really fun game that you enjoy playing. And when you make your video, convey that passion. And you don't have to be apologetic that you built a game versus something bigger. Just build anything and build it with passion.
Okay, we have a question from Aldo Sanchez. Do we have to submit our app or only the video? That's a good question. Ian, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So, a big component of this is the video. Not to downplay the technical aspects of building an application, but because this is open to both middle school and high school students, the expectation is not to build this expansive, super crazily powerful application. A lot of it is in the design side, and it is in the form of the video. So being able to convey the problem you're trying to solve or what you were trying to put into your code, and even using it like MIT App Builder or Slide Apps, I mean, that's a great way to do it, and those are really easy to put together. I don't remember if they have to submit code, but I believe they definitely have to submit the video. I don't know, Jasmine, if you can back me on that.
Yeah, you don't have to submit the code, just the video, but you definitely want to highlight the code in your video.
Yeah, you want to go over exactly what you were trying to build and exactly what you're trying to convey using your application, the problem you're trying to solve, the passion, as JJ said, that you're putting into your project. I mean, it's really important to show why you're doing what you're doing and why that matters to you, and then your intended audience, all those components.
Okay, so somebody said in one of the pre-submitted questions, they asked, are we required to build a fully functioning app from start to finish? And I want to give Paola a chance to answer that if you have something.
Yeah, so not necessarily. We did have some submissions last year where people use what we call block code. So it helps them throughout the process. So it gives you like a little bit of, training wheels to start coding. So not necessarily starting from scratch. No, there is some tools out there that are going to help you to create an app. So we're not actually looking for the technical side to see how efficient it was or did it run or no. We just kind of want to see what you were trying to, like they said, what you're trying to accomplish. And as far as the game, I did also want to add, I remember last year, someone created a game and it was just a game, but his main purpose, this is just an example, was to help with people with anxiety. So his game was to calm the mind. And that was really, really interesting. I really loved that. They had a problem to solve and it was a game because he was passionate about playing games. And that's just an example that I wanted to give for the other question.
Thank you. Yeah, we did have some game submissions, and I think like the judges are saying, if you're passionate about what you're making, it's going to be a good product, and it's going to have a strong idea behind it, and it's going to show and it's going to shine. So we don't want to limit people on what they can create, but we want to make sure that there's been some thought going into it. And then somebody else said, how many entries can a school submit? There is no limit on how many entries a school can submit. You can submit as many as you'd like, and we encourage you to extend this opportunity to all of your students. Like I said, it's open to middle school and high school students. It's open to students of all expertise levels, all technical abilities, and it really is an opportunity to just get your feet wet in the competition field, so to speak. But obviously we're going to see some differences in technical ability, and that's fine. Last year we had 2 middle schoolers win, and so it can be done because they had just such a great idea. The second and third place winners were high school students, and they were more proficient in their technical ability. But sometimes it really just is that idea that catches the attention of the judges and just makes it a full package. And what is the hardest part? That's a good question. That came from, let me see, maybe they are in the group, in the meeting right now. That came from Gabriel Ramirez. Gabriel or Gabriel, are you in the meeting by any chance? Do you care to ask the judges? Okay, so it doesn't look like Gabriel's in the meeting with us, but what is the hardest part? I think it's a fair question. Do any of you judges want to take a stab at that?
Sure. So I think it's a fun question. It's a little bit relative. I think that when we're dealing with these types of situations personally and what I've experienced, I think getting going and coming up with your idea, coming up with your solution, if you have that, the rest is just the amount of work you want to put in. And I think the hardest part is getting that ball rolling. Again, I think, one of the biggest things we want to convey is that it's not all about the technical skills. It's okay to use an application like MIT App Inventor or Slide Apps if you're not feeling super comfortable writing code off the bat. As soon as you have an idea and you want to put it into it, and you start to sit down and draw it out and think it out, as soon as you have that part going, I think it all gets a lot easier. So just getting through that first hump, I think, is probably the most challenging part.
Okay, we do have another question in the chat. Gael is asking, who are we competing against? Is this a regional competition or are we competing against students across the nation? That's a really good question. So it is a regional competition. So each congressional district, so the Congresswoman's congressional district, which is Texas 16, as I mentioned earlier, is most of El Paso County and some of the surrounding areas. So we have Canutillo ISD, Clint ISD, Anthony ISD, and then the three major districts, the three main districts, EPISD, Isleta, Socorro. Some schools do fall outside of the congressional district, but anyway, long answer short, you're competing against students in this region. And every member of Congress who hosts a competition then sends a winner from that district to the Capitol. So, because we're in COVID times, who knows what next spring will look like. But the idea is that the winning app for each congressional district gets displayed on a national stage in Washington, DC. And under normal circumstances, the students would be flown out to DC to present their application to members of Congress. So you would get to, rub elbows and meet other students across the nation who also won the distinction and the prize in their own district. But and so it's kind of like a networking opportunity in that sense. But you're just competing against students here. And another question is, if we do decide to make a fully functional app, will that give us an advantage?
I would say it does help from a technical prowess, and you'll learn a lot. But you also don't want to over-engineer a problem, right? Sometimes some of the most simplest solutions, and the anecdote that I always point to, and this may be more fiction than fact, but it illustrates the point, is NASA spent supposedly millions of dollars developing a pen that would write in space, and the Soviet Union just used pencils, right? So it's one of those things where you could get really technical and you can over-engineer a problem, but sometimes just being super effective and taking simple solutions that are around you and applying them to solve a problem in a new, novel way. We do that all the time here in our region. And so I think it doesn't have to get too caught up on being technical, although having a little bit of technical proficiency could add some points.
Great. Do any of the other judges want to add to that? Or should I move on?
I mean, I completely agree with JJ entirely. But a quick comment, I do think that on the rubric, we do award a few extra points. If you like, depending on the level of technical prowess you're employing on the application, on the app itself. So for example, if you're using straight code, a Java app, an Android native, Flutter, etc., you will get a few more points, but I think the majority of the rubric is focused on the idea itself. So just to keep that in mind.
And I did see a question that was submitted in advance asking what that rubric is. So we'll get to that in a second, and you guys can maybe outline what it is that you're looking for and how the points get divvied up. So I'll move on to the next question in the chat. Is there any benefit judging wise to making an app from scratch instead of using an app builder? And I guess that's a little bit related, right? So you guys want to expand on that? Or was the question answered?
Yeah, that's very related to what we just answered, right? So it's going to give you a little bit more points. It's not going to make a huge difference. we're looking more for the idea and how creative it was.
But it definitely is impressive. So I think when we cover the rubric more at length, you'll get a good sense for, you know, how that fits into the product as a whole. The next question, is there a specific rubric that we can reference from? Okay, so I think we're getting into what I was just saying about the rubric. And then the other question I had seen that was submitted before was, is there a specific judging format? So I think that's the same, right? Judging format and a rubric. Do any of our judges want to maybe run through the rubric and then elaborate on how, give examples maybe of what an app that is following the rubric looks like?
So I don't have the rubric that we used last year, you know, in front of, I don't know, Ian, Paula, if you have, you know, something close by, but the...
I just grabbed it. I can put it on.
Yeah, I have it too. If Ian, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. You have a lot of tabs open this morning. So I believe this was the entirety of the rubric. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess we can just go through it one step at a time. So as you can see, out of the 4 categories we are judging for, the only one that's really relevant to like the programming skill is our 3rd one, and the ratings on all of these I believe are 1 to 5. And so the technical skill you're actually employing on the application only affects 1 category out of 4. So the majority of our judging is going to be heavily based on, again, concept, design, presentation, as well as skill. And some of the things to include here are, there is a lot that goes into development of a product, and I know both JJ and Paula, you guys can back me on this, that is very conceptual. Before you actually write any code, you spend a ton of time working through design concepts and UI UX and all of these other components on the problem solving. So we do try to see and get as much insight via the video as possible to see, you know, what you were thinking just as much as what you implemented.
Yeah, I definitely echo those sentiments, and really, you know, from the judging perspective, we're not taking apart code, but if you could demonstrate and show your code within the video, that's really important. But what makes, I think, one app more competitive than the other, whether it's a game or, you know, solving a community issues, just the ability to communicate that problem and organize how you arrived at your solution. I think being able to articulate that approach is what really, the only thing from judges that we're able to actually, you know, touch, interact, and see. So I think, you know, all of these questions, if you could just think how to communicate the creativity or thought that went into your app, if you could show a snippet of code, we're not actually running the code, but just why you picked a specific language, you know, versus the other. Was it solving that solution? And then, you know, of course, creativity around editing the video is great, but even a basic iPhone, you know, Android phone video that shot, you could do a lot with just some enthusiasm, smiling, you know, on the camera as well.
So I actually have the videos of the top 3 winners of 2019's Congressional App Challenge, and I might just go ahead and show them. The videos are 1 to 3 minutes long, so I think we have the time, and that might be a good visual to understand what, you know, what's going to get your app to the top place, and then maybe the judges can, it'll jog your guys' memory about what, you know, why you chose these, and maybe you can explain a little bit about that, and that might be a good visual for the rubric, judging rubric question that everybody had. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. and play those now. Okay. All right. So this is the first place winner. Are you guys seeing this? All right, so that was the first place winner, actually, from Parkland Middle School. They did such a fantastic job. Paula, do you want to elaborate on how that kind of hit all the points for the judges and why it won first place?
Yes, although I was having some like issues on the sound. Was I the only one? I actually couldn't hear the sound.
Yeah,
Was I the only one? Yeah, the
Oh,
sound wasn't working.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
I saw
sorry.
the kids that brought it back, so I do remember.
Yeah,
You know
actually,
what I'll do? Okay, my bad.
It was memorable.
yeah, I actually don't remember much about like the sound. Ian, if you do, take it away.
Right. Sure. So
there's
I specifically remember this because I remember that student and it was a very funny video, so it just stuck with me a little bit. So some of the things that really caught my attention when I was watching this video last year was they went out and they did customer interviews, which is a really big step. You know, they took the time to look in their vicinity, in their immediate circle, and try to identify a problem that they found relevant both to themselves and by talking to other people. Which showed a bunch of initiative, which is a really big step in terms of actually building a product. And then from there, they really considered, both in terms of design, they tried to line that up with some base UI UX stuff. But what I found really impactful by their solution was that they really took the initiative of trying to solve that problem in a creative way. It was something that I wouldn't have considered off the bat. I thought that was really awesome. And Yeah, I mean, I think across the board, both in terms of, you know, the uniqueness of the idea, the way that they came to their conclusion, as you guys might have seen, I think they used an application called Thunkable, which is a block coding application. It wasn't super technical, but they were able to use that to give us an idea of what they wanted their application to do. And they conveyed that in a really, really cohesive way. And I think that covered all the technical gaps that I personally had coming from a technical background. So for me, I think those were the components that really made it stand out.
And I think the second and third place applications were a little more technical. So I want to show those, and I want to make sure that I shared the link to the Lunch Week app in the chat, so everybody can take a look at that on their own. Sorry about the audio issues, but I think I need to, thank you, Mr. Palomino. I need to share my computer audio when sharing a video. So I hope that I can do that, because I do want to show you guys another example of what, you know, a good app is. You know, and of course, you know, I know that we're not in school. Some of you are not in school, most of you, I'm sure. And so, you know, you're not going to be able to do the same video, you know, interviewing the cafeteria worker, etc. So there are opportunities to get creative in different ways. So I understand that that's not accessible right now. Well, the second place winner was from America's High School, and their app was called Blued Away. I don't know if the judges remember it, but I'm going to share the link in the chat. And I'm also going to try playing it. And I hope that I can sort out whatever it is. Give me 1 second. Sorry, that was not the right. That was not the right link. So this is actually a link for the third place winner, the one that I'm about to share. And this was from a group of students from, I believe, Northwest Early College High School. Yes, I'm right. And their app was called Benji's Adventure. So I'm sharing it in the chat right now. Let me see if I can get my audio set. Do you guys remember Benji's Adventure, judges? It was about pet. It was a pet app. I don't know.
I think it was for animal cruelty awareness, I think, with carnivals. Does that sound familiar? That's what I recall.
I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
looking at it now.
Quick. Yeah, I think they use the MIT App Inventor application, which is another block coding application. Let's see if we have a little more logic in there.
So I switched my audio settings. Let me know if this works. Give me a second here. Okay, are you guys seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then can you guys hear it?
Still a bit muted.
Huh. Okay, so that might not work, but basically maybe I can play it without the audio. Unless you guys have a fix. Feel free to speak up if you do, but yeah, so basically maybe I can just, you know, drag through it. So, you know, they are announcing who they are, the students are, they're saying what the app is and what problem it solves. And each one takes a chance to talk about it. And then they take us to the actual app. And it looks like they use an app or something called Piskel to design the interface. And then they take us through some screenshots of the code, and then how it works. So yeah. So yeah, sorry about those audio issues. Share computer audio. Okay. Okay. And then the second link, I actually, I don't think I have the second link on hand for the second place winner, but it was Blued Away. And I believe it was very technical, that one.
Yeah.
And that one won second place. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah, I think I remember that one. Yeah, they used like hash maps and they were using like data structures. It was brilliant. Yeah, I remember that one.
Minesweeper to essentially
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the safest path, identify all the mines, you know, around.
There was a Java application, right? Like that was a native Android app, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was.
Cool.
And I think just from that perspective, you know, the student that submitted was just really showing building a technical app to solve a problem. I don't know if they were super into Minesweeper. I remember as a kid losing a lot of hours playing that game because it was, you know, the only game and the skiing game on the old Windows 95 computer that we used to have. But what was just really, I think, impressive, you know, about the actual video itself was explaining the process and the choices that the developer made and why they made them. And so, and being able to say, this is the type of math that went into it. I thought this was an application that could be deconstructed, you know, one way, but just getting to that point of being able to communicate what problem you're solving or why you're passionate about it, and all of the technical choices, you know, that go into it, whether that's the design and the interface of the application, whether it's just the logic behind the argument. But I just remember it was, you know, really well, really technical, but also really well explained.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, it won second place, so it was just a couple of points shy from winning the top prize. But as the judges mentioned, the idea behind and just like the overall cohesiveness behind the first winner's app is really what sold it to the judging panel. So I mean, that could make your app, right? If you're lacking in the technical aspect a little bit, or if it's not as advanced, you know, just having a really great solution and having it be thoughtful is really what could make it stand out. But of course, there is praise given to a very great technical solution. And so, yeah, so another question here is from, I believe, one of the teachers. Do the students move on to any higher competitions like state? So the Congressional App Challenge is the nation's top prize. And it's not tied to the public school system or anything like that. It really is just about highlighting national talent. And so there is no subsequent competition after this. We host a competition in the district. We choose a first, second, and third place winner. And the first place winner is the team whose app, or the individual whose app gets to go to the national and get displayed there. And, you know, COVID permitting, the student would get to fly to DC and present their app in person to members of Congress alongside other teams from across the nation. And the great prize, that's the prize really, but also they invite recruiters from colleges, they invite different companies to come and talk to the students. There's a lot of scholarship opportunities. So it opens a lot of doors, and it's a great thing to have on a resume. But there is no other advanced competition other than just the competition that this is. So I hope that answers your question. And there was another pre-submitted question, which I think is something we've touched on, but it bears repeating. The question is, what is the objective? And I think I take that to mean what is the theme, but it might also mean technically like what is it, what am I supposed to build here? So I can answer it from the theme side of things. You know, as I said before, there is no theme to or limitation to what you can create. It has to be an application that is functional across platforms. So on your phone, on a tablet, or on a computer. It can't be a website, right? It has to be an application. So because I think that question had come up before, especially during the hackathon, if a website can be built. But so it has to be an application. It can be anything you want it to be. It should solve a problem, and just go by the format that the judges explained. But do any of the judges want to elaborate on that? What is the objective, or is it more of what we've covered already?
I would say just build something that you're passionate about. That's really what the Congressional App was designed to encourage, is just, you know, learn something new. So I would say, you know, build something you're passionate about is number one objective. You know, to maybe build something that will require you to learn and stretch as you go through the process. I think that's ultimately whether you win the competition or not. If you learned a new skill, or you learned a new way to apply technology, or even just got better at presenting your thoughts and ideas, you won. Just right off the bat. So I think that's the objective as far as I'm concerned.
And I know that so I've heard from some teachers that maybe the devices that the schools are lending out for remote learning are not able to handle advanced programming language like Java or C++. I hope I'm saying those right. And so I know that's a challenge. We're facing a lot of challenges in this remote learning environment, and I don't want that to be a deterrent. I would think the judges would agree with me that, you know, even if you do have to downscale or downgrade to an app that is not as, as heavy, that you can still be very creative about it. If anything, sometimes limitations cause us to be more creative, to step out of that comfort zone and just to find even better solutions. So I would not discourage students and teachers from participating in this competition because of the technical aspect, you know, because they don't have access to the advanced technical software. Yeah. And that looks like it. Does anybody else have any other questions? It looks like I've come up on all the questions in the chat. We are getting close to wrapping up the hour. Let me see if there were any other pre-submitted questions. Okay, I don't believe so. But I do want to let you know that if you are looking for more inspiration, and of course the videos might look a little different because kids were in school, and so a lot of these videos were taken in school or out and about in the community. So it's going to be really interesting. I just want to let you know, you're not the only one who's facing these challenges. Everybody is, but it's not impossible. And not just everybody here in El Paso, but everybody across the nation. We're all in the same boat. We're all in this together. And I think that we can come up with some really great solutions, even in light of all the stuff that's going on. The theme for the hackathon was find a solution that helps with, that addresses a problem you've seen in remote learning and in virtual learning. We all know that this has been a struggle for everybody. So we were very impressed by the submissions in that hackathon. And that was over the course of 2 days that the students had to code. So it is very possible to code something from scratch you know, even with just a week's time. And as I said, reach out to your teachers. They are your mentors. They are great resources to you. And if you don't have that option, or if the communication is limited for whatever reason, reach out to me. I'm going to drop my information in the chat. And I would be more than happy to connect you with somebody locally who can help you answer any technical questions, or even just brainstorm something, get you started, or let you know if you're heading in the right direction for this. But don't be discouraged. And that's my advice. Any parting words from the judges?
I guess I would just add on that this is like a STEM field related, challenge, and that all comes together with what we said about problem solving and coming up with solutions and being creative. So that's all we want to see. We just want to see you guys play a part as an engineer, you would say. And that's it for me.
Thanks, Paula. JJ or Ian, any last words?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, completely on the same page with Paula. I mean, I think personally, and this is me speaking a little bit from the heart, but there's kind of an addictiveness, an addictive nature to problem solving. You kind of get into it, and it just keeps happening, and you keep wanting to find new areas, new things to solve, new fun things to build. And these are the skills that grow with you. And there's never a better time to start than when you're in school and you have the space to grow and stretch and try something new. So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to see what people are passionate about and what they want to build and how they communicate. And, I think we've made that really clear. So just don't be afraid to put your foot in the water and get into it. So highly encouraged.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, just tagging, after Paula, Ian, problem solve, have fun, communicate it clearly, is really what this competition is really trying to encourage. And it's really easy to do all three of those things if you find something that you're passionate about, that you care about. It really shows when you make that video. And go outside your comfort zone, like Ian said. You use it as an opportunity to build and learn. And if you get stuck, don't stop. Look online. There's plenty of forums, but then we have great resources that you could really access through Jasmine, that might connect you to industry professionals. And I could say our community really wants young people to succeed, and we want them to move into roles, that create a lot of value for the community. So I know just firsthand experience working with multiple events like this. It's really scary at first, but dive in. Just get started and keep pushing. Don't give up if you get stuck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JJ, Ian, Paola. Your expertise and just wealth of knowledge is so appreciated. And I know that everybody who attended this meeting today came away with a lot, more now, gumption to go forward and submitting in this competition and entering other competitions. Just enter all the competitions. You don't have anything to lose from that. So I shared in the chat my name, my email address, Jasmine Venegas, jasmine.venegas@mail.house.gov. You can reach us at the office, 915-541-1400. We are working remotely, but we are answering the phone. And just reach out to me if you have any questions. Happy to connect you with any of the judges here or anybody locally who can help. And I also dropped the link to the 2019 winners across the nation so that you can get an idea of what's out there, right? The different levels of and the different quality of apps that get submitted and get chosen and selected from each congressional district across the nation. And so that is it. That wraps us up. I'm gonna do one shameless plug before we all leave. Please fill out your census. You have until the end of the month to fill it out. Please do so. Make sure you get counted. and then also vote, and vote early. I believe early voting starts next week. So just make sure you do that, very important. And submit to the Congressional App Challenge. The deadline to register and submit to the Congressional App Challenge for 2020 is October 19th, 2 Mondays from now. And reach out if you need anything. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your evening.